And we are now recording, and we take you to practice quiz. All right. Number 1. The perimeter, hold it. It's not. This is the practice quiz. And to lease a car, you make a down payment of $2,000 plus $160 per month. Your budget for the lease is $4,560. How many months will you be able to lease the car with this budget? So let me give you a little time with this. And let me give you another minute. Okay, let me have you stop. And I'm going to do it, I'm going to call this method 1. And so I'm going to say 3 months. How many months? I'm going to make a ridiculously small guess. 3 months is not correct. Let me prove it. I'll prove that it's not correct. Now, how do I show the total cost for 3 months? I take $2,000. That's just one time. Plus, I have to pay $160 3 times. And when I multiply that out, that's 2,000. That's 4,000, 3 times 6 is 18, so 480. $2,480. I proved that it's not correct. All right, but what I did do is show the process of how you do it with any value. And if I replace this ridiculously small guess with the theoretically correct answer, X, I don't know what X is, But if I do, I'm going to get 2,000 plus 160x. And then instead of getting one of these incorrect, I want to force it to be the correct amount right here. And then I can solve this equation. And let me get a little more space. I'm going to subtract 2,000, 160x equals, I'm going to divide by 160. I'm going to pull out my calculator.
Oh, sorry, sir. Wouldn't that be 2,560?
Oh,
Yeah, that would be correct.
Yeah.
All right. You guys are saving me. All right. 2,560 divided by 160, and I get 16. So I claim that I can get it by 16. How many months be able to lease the car? Able to rent car. For 16 months on this budget. And one last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check 16 times 160 plus 2,000, because I'm going to pay the 160 16 times. And let's see if this turns out to be, so if I take 16 times 160, I get this is 2,560. And when I add this together, I get 4,560, which is exactly the amount that it was supposed to be, so that checks my work. All right, now, feedback. Give me a little feedback on this one, and also let me know if you used the method that I used, method 1, or if you were going about it in your own way. And not that either one is better, I'm just curious, how many are using this method? You know, if like, you know, next semester I teach this class again and nobody ever uses my method, but they always all use their own, and maybe I'll quit using my method. So, type up some feedback, don't hit enter yet. Go ahead and hit enter. Okay, so some are using my method, some a different method, that's fine. Okay, and the review is mostly helpful. Alright, let me show one more time a method that people that use their own method might have used. It might have been intuitive to look at this problem. I kind of want to see the problem as well. It might have been intuitive to use this to say, all right, we start with $4,560. And then one time we're going to subtract this 2,000. So this is how much is left, and it's got to pay out in $160 increments. So I divide this by 160. and then that turns out to be the 16, and then it would be, 16 times I can pay that. So that might have been a method that somebody would have used as well, and that would be fine as well. This method of constructing the equation and using x's, we tend to like as mathematicians because it's really powerful. We can use it in lots of big situations, and it kind of justifies all this importance we put on these x stuff, how to solve these equations. All right, let's go to number 2. You start your own job picking up dog poop. You charge $6 per hour plus $3.50 for each bag of poop that you get picked up. Last Saturday you worked 4 hours and earned $48.50. How many bags of poop did you fill? There could be some time with this. Okay, another 30 seconds on this. All right, let me have you stop. So there's 2 components of your pay. There's your hourly pay, and then how many bags. We are given the information about the hourly. You worked 4 hours at $6 an hour. That's going to be $24. But we're not given how many bags of poop that we filled up. Again, I'm going to do it my way. That leads to an X. I'm going to guess a ridiculously small. I'm going to say filled 2 bags of poop. And this is wrong, and I can prove it. This is just to show me how I would compute anything. my pay for the day has two parts. Hourly, and then for the bags. The hourly part is $6 times $4 per hour. 4 hours times $6 per hour. And the bags would be $3.50 times the 2 bags. And this is not going to be enough money. 24, and that turns out to be $731. Alright, so what we're going to wind up doing is replacing that number that was obviously wrong with the right answer. I just don't know what number it is. And then I'm going to put 6 times 4, the $24. 6 times 4 is the $24 plus 350 times X, and I'm going to make sure that it equals the right amount, 48.50. And then I'm going to solve this. And this is 24. So I'm going to subtract 24 from both sides. Now that might have been the intuitive part. Some people without this equation would have just said, subtract off the 24. 350x plus 2450. And then we need to find out how many 350s there are in this. So we divide by 350, and we get x equals, I'll pull out my calculator, 24.5 divided by 3.5, and I get 7. 7 bags of poop, and then I would check my answer. I would take the 7 times the 350. It's $24.50 plus the $24 gives me the $48.50. It does check. And 7. Now, worded problem always needs a worded answer. 7 bags of poop. If you say the answer was x equals 7, the person who gave you the problem in the first place will say, hey, there's no x in here. What do you mean? They won't understand. You give a worded answer. So a little feedback on number 2. Type that up. Don't hit enter quite yet. Go ahead and hit enter. Let's go to number 3. Your catering company charges $40 for setup, $65 for cleanup, plus a per person amount for the menu selected. Lawrence chose a menu for his party that cost $18 per person. His total bill was $933. How many people came to the party? Okay, 30 seconds more. Okay. Once again, I'm going to use my same method. I'm going to guess 4 people came to the party. And of course, it wouldn't cost that much. But I guess something ridiculously small so that I can compute it really quickly. Now, charge is going to be, and this is wrong. And we'll see that it's wrong here. The setup is, and cleanup is 40 plus 65. But this all happens once. Plus $18 per person times the 4 people who came. And this is going to turn out to be 18 times 4, 72 plus 105 is $177. And it's not nearly the 933. But the idea is I'm going to be replacing my absurdly small guess with the real answer and then making my equation and forcing it to be the right amount. These two together add up to 105, and I'm going to subtract 105 on both sides, and I get 18x plus 828, and then I divide by 18. And then I punch this in my calculator, and x is 46, people came to the party. And I double check that 46 times 18 is 828 plus the $105 for setup and cleanup gives me 933, which is exactly right, so it checks, and I got it. Alright, give me a little feedback, tell me if you're getting tired of these problems or how it's going. Type that up. And hit enter. Okay, so some people need some extra practice, some people got it down. That's kind of what always happens. Alright. Alright. Let's go to number 4. Solve that equation for y. 30 seconds more. Alright, so I see 3 terms here. Only one of the terms contains y. So I move the 18, that term, to the other side. So now I have the term that contains the y all by itself. And then I'm going to divide to get rid of that 3. It's attached to my multiplication. Now I'm going to do it with each fraction. And when I write my total answer, I'm going to put the y first. You can always turn any equation around, right, in either order. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 4x minus 6. And that's it. So, give me a little feedback on number 4. Type that up. Don't hit enter quite yet. Go ahead and hit enter. All right, questions now.
I have a question in regards to the Module 3 supplements.
Yes.
Do we have to do all the way from 7 to 17, or?
So are you... This one here.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All 17 are part of the homework. Yep.
Okay. I wanted to just double check.
Okay. Good job. Also, fair to ask now is any questions you have on any of the review for the exam. So I delayed the exam that was scheduled for today. It's going to be on Wednesday. What opened up at 12:30 today was the answers for the review, and so it's another assignment. You have to make corrections on anything that you got wrong and upload those into the next one. Yes.
This is Kylie. I was just wondering, are we going to have any of the word problems? I know none of them are on the review, but will we have these kind of word problems that we've been doing the last 2 weeks on the test?
Okay. That's going to come on the test after this one. Okay. So none of those are on the review.
Thank you.
You're welcome. None of them are on the review because none of them are on this test. The test that follows this one, though, will have a bunch of them on it.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure I'm practicing those. Thank you.
You bet.
I had a question on the test review for number 2.
Number 2.
I just wasn't getting what seemed to be the right answer.
Okay. So let me go. Chapter 2 practice test. I can see that's a messy thing here. All right, so what I'm first going to notice is that it's one term, two terms. I can do something in each term separately. In the first term, I'm going to, exponents come first. So that's going to be 64 over 81, because it'll be 9/8 times 8/9 times 8/9, and you just multiply them together. 8 times 8, 64, 9 times 9, 81. Now this gets multiplied by negative 81. I'm going to put that over 1. Plus, now in this second term, you can do it simultaneously as long as you do one step in each term. Copy, dot, flip. And that negative sign can go with the 9 or out in front, doesn't matter. So, copy, dot, flip. And then, this, divide by 81, divide by 81. Positive times a negative, it's going to make this whole thing negative. And then over here, I can multiply the tops and I can multiply the bottoms, just like I could have multiplied them but got huge numbers and then divide them, so it's just easier to reduce first. Divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 5, divide by 5. Now, positive times negative makes negative. And 5 on the top, 3 on the bottom. And this becomes kind of messy because they don't have common denominators. This is really over 1. So the least common denominator is 3. So this one already has the right. Okay. But this one, I'm going to multiply by 3 over 3. When I multiply that, I get negative 192 over 3 minus 5 over 3. And then, since the signs are the same, we add them. Negative 197 over 3. I can leave my answer like this, or I can divide that out. 3 goes in there. 60 times 3 is 180. So let me punch this out of my calculator. 197 divided by 3 it gives me 65.666 repeating, which is 65 and 2/3. 2 would be left over. And it's negative. And if you gave it as a decimal, negative 65.666, that'd have been fine too. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Other questions?
Number 7 on problem solving with linear equations.
All right. Okay. Let's copy this over. There are 32 laptop and desktop computers in a computer lab. There are 8 more laptops than desktop computers in the lab. How many of each type of computer are in the lab? Whew. All right. Now these type of problems don't fit into my easy kind of formula thing that those earlier ones did. This one, but I can still do my guess. Now when I guess, I'm going to guess a ridiculously small number. Should I guess a number for laptops or for desktops? It asks for each, but I noticed that it says there are 8 more laptops than desktops. It's comparing to desktops. So I'm going to guess not laptops, but desktops, because that's what's being compared to. Now it's kind of handy to pick this one on the desktops. If I'd have picked 2 laptops and there were 8 more laptops, then the other would have to be a negative number. It wouldn't make sense. All right. So if my guess is a ridiculously small number, 2 desktops, then there's going to be 8 more than that. Then there's 10 laptops. Now, I know this is going to be wrong because I always pick a really ridiculously small number. All I'm going to do is add these 2 up. And it's supposed to be 32. So it's for sure wrong. But look at the process. And now I'm going to go back. I'm going to call this X. It's going to be the right number of desktops. I just don't know what number it is. So I call it X. And then if that one's X, what does this one become? Instead of 2, I pick X. This one becomes, and I'm going to ask for a suggestion. Does anybody know what I would put for this one? There's X desktops. How many laptops?
Would that be y plus 8?
You're really close. There's no need to create a new letter though. It's the same letter that we had before. So maybe X is like, I don't know, 15 or something like this, I don't know. But whatever that is, you're right on with put the plus 8 right here. When there's 8 more than the other one, if one of them's X, the other is X, that same thing, plus 8. And then when we add them together, so think of it like this, we're going to take the X plus the X plus 8. We're going to force it to be the correct number, 32 laptops. Then the equation becomes, I can get rid of these parentheses, they don't really do anything. 2x plus 8 is 32. And then subtract 8. 2x is 24. Divide by 2, x is 12. And now, what was the x representing? Well, it was the number of desktops. So there's 12 desktops. And how many laptops? Well, 8 more. 8 more than 12 is 20 laptops. And does it check? When you add them together, do you get 32 total? Yes, it does. That's my answer. Okay, so this is where my technique of guessing a ridiculously small number kind of really paid off here as the problems get kind of tough. right, does that answer your question? Or is it still confusing?
That answers my question.
Okay. Any other questions?
Number 14.
Same worksheet, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. 14, I'm going to save because we're going to be doing problems like that today in class. And then you'll be able to come back to this and handle this easy after today's lesson. In fact, I'm kind of surprised because this worksheet was already made up for us. I didn't realize they snuck one in here, the designer of this worksheet. They probably should have saved that one till after today's lesson. So it's very appropriate that you had a question on 14. All right, other than 14, anything else?
Can we do number 10?
10. All right. Ike and Nancy give Western dance lessons at the Elks Lodge. The lessons cost $3 for members of the lodge and $5 for non-members. Twice as many members as non-members take lessons, and the total fees collected are $132. How many non-members take lessons? All right, the first reaction is to put something around my head because I have a big headache. This seems confusing as hell. But if I guess a really small number for one of these, it helps me get oriented. So after I panic and have a headache and then come back to this, I come back and I say, all right, what's being asked for? They ask for how many non-members take lessons. I'm going to guess that 3 non-members take lessons. And I know that's going to be wrong, but I'm going to show the process. All right. All right. I can go right into the cost, but I know I got to figure out how many members. And that's in this sentence. Twice as many members as non-members take lessons. So if I'm guessing 3 non-members, how many members are there? Well, if there's twice as many, there's got to be 6 members take lessons. Okay. Now, since I only had to guess one number, but the 3, but it provided me with these both numbers because this was twice as many as that. Okay, and then the cost for each one of these. For the 3, it costs $3 for members and $5 for non-members. All right, so these 3 is going to cost $5 each. And for the 6 members, it's going to cost $3 each. Now, 3 non-members, that was my original guess. I always put my original guess in parentheses. That times 5 plus 6 times 3. So this was going to be the number of non-members times the cost per non-member. So this is going to be $15. And then they got $18 from this. And that turns out to be $33, which isn't even close to $132. I knew it was wrong, but I kind of have a setup. So turns out to be $33. I'm going to take this equation that I just made here. 3 times 5 plus 6 times 3 equals 33. And I'm going to replace my original guess with the exact answer, x. And now I'm going to rewrite the equation. So, this is x. What does this become? If there are x non-members, how many members are there?
2 times x.
Very good. Twice as many. So, x is going to replace the 3, and the 2x is going to replace the 6. So, it's x times 5 plus 2x times 3, and then we force it to be the correct amount, $132. Now, I'm going to write the order differently. This is all one term. Just put the numbers up front. 3 times 2 is 6. And then 5x plus 6x makes 11x. Divide by 11. I'm going to get x equals, and I punch this out of my calculator, 132 divided by 11 is 12. And then I have to interpret that correctly. 12 what? That's the non-members. And then twice as many. So I'm going to say, oops, do it better. 12 non-members take lessons, and 24 members. That's it. Does that clear it up? Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, it's break time. So let's stop here and we'll start again. In 15 minutes at 1:36 p.m. Anybody have any thing they need to talk to me about before I take my break?
One quick question. As I understand, November 3rd is a Wednesday. Are we going to be having class that day?
Is that the day before No, the day before Thanksgiving. Yes.
No, okay. Remember, I was talking about election day.
Oh, November
Yeah.
3rd. All right.
Yes.
November 3rd, we don't have class. We only have class on November 2nd and November 4th.
Okay.
Okay, so November 3rd is not a problem. There is, though, one day on our schedule, November 25th.
Mhm.
I'll post an announcement about that. But you might have gotten an email that the campus will be closed then, and all classes are shut down that day. So we are not going to have class. That's the second to last week of class, so it's not for a while yet. The day before Thanksgiving, November 25th, there'll be no class.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. we're going to start up again. And the section for today is 2.5, number and perimeter problems. All right, and before we jump into these problems though, let me check on how many groups we have. We have 5 groups. All right, we only have 11 people here, so we're going to have to do some shifting. I know we're not going to be filling up all 5 groups. So go to your group and type in hi, your group chat, and group leader, make sure that spokesman of the day knows who they are. Let's just get a check-in. Group 1, how many of you are here today? Group 2?
We only have 2.
2. Okay, group 3?
We have 3.
Group 4?
We've got 3.
Group 5?
We got 2.
2, okay. And all right, let me have group 2 join group 5. So if you're in group 2, go and unmute your group 5 channel, pop in there and say hi, and you'll work together as a group. And all right. So the perimeter of a square is 20 inches. What does this mean? Write a sentence telling us what this means about the square. And so you're really making sure that we all understand what perimeter means. So type in your sentence into your group chat, but don't hit enter yet. And if you really don't know what the word perimeter is, try taking a guess. And it's even if you know what it is, sometimes it's kind of hard to describe it. Ten seconds more. Go ahead and hit enter and look at the different explanations about a perimeter. And group 3, can you tell us any of the explanations about a perimeter? What does it mean? The perimeter of a square is 20 inches.
Well, we have gotten 2. Well, now we just got 3. Essentially, it is the outside measurements, and I put the definition of a perimeter, which is the path that encompasses and surrounds a 2-dimensional shape. So essentially what it's saying is that measurement is 20 inches.
All right. I like that. There's multiple ways of saying that it's like the outside measurement. Okay. It's 20 inches. And draw a picture of the square. And label the length of each edge with letters. Like the letter X, but if you don't like X, you don't have to use X, whatever you want. But do that. All right, so let me have you stop there. Draw a picture of the square. Label the length of each edge with letters. Group 3, I'm still going to pick on you here since we can't really do the draw diagrams easily in Discord in our group chat. I'm drawing my square. Group 3, how would I label the edges?
You would label it by for example, the top, you would probably lay that as an A.
Okay.
And then on the side, you would label that as a B. On the bottom and the left, it would be a C and a D.
Awesome. Anybody else have any other ideas about the labeling?
This is Randolph. I would, since it's a square, I would just put them all as A.
Can we do that? Yes, we could. They have to be equal. So we could put every single one as the same letter if we want to. And that actually is telling us that it's a square then. If they're all different letters, then it doesn't have to be a square. All right. So and that's exactly the evolution that I would do too. My first instinct would be put all different letters, and then after I thought about it for a long enough time, I might come up with all letters being the same. All right. Now, the perimeter of the square is 20 inches. We know that that's the true, and we know that means kind of the outside measurement. And then we have a picture labeled, and now write an equation for the situation. So go ahead and do that. And enter your equation into your text channel, but don't hit enter yet. Okay, go ahead and hit enter. And group 4, do you have any equations?
We've got 4A equals 20.
And that's the only equation you got?
Yeah.
Okay, that looks right. We could have written it as a plus a plus a plus a 4 times. That's the same as 4a equals 20. All right, and then we solve the equation. Well, we all know how to do that. We're going to divide by 4. And we got a equals 5. Check your work, show that your answer is reasonable. So then we would go back to the picture, and I would put, these are all 5. And then the perimeter, 10 and 10, perimeter is 20. All right, so check, I've done that. All right, so that's the simplest, the one that we start with as the perimeter of a square. Very different than the area of a square. Perimeter, distance around the outside edge. As if a fly was walking along the outside edge of the figure, and how much distance did the fly travel. All right, so number 2. The perimeter of a square is 84 feet. Find the length of one side. Do this by drawing a picture, then making and solving an equation. Now, you don't need to necessarily draw a picture and then solve it, making a solving equation. You could do this other ways, but I'm asking you to do it this way to just kind of get you into the groove of looking at it this way. Okay, so I'm going to do this one. We saw that if it's a square, we could call them all the same letter. X's or A's and B's, doesn't matter. And then the perimeter is 84, so if I add x 4 times, that's the same as 4x is 84. And then I solve this. Okay, so I've done it. So each side must be 21. We'll kind of plug them back in. And as I add them up, do I get 84? Yeah, 20 4 times is 80, and plus the 1 4 times is 84. Alright. Now, do this the shortest way possible. Let me give you just 30 seconds to think about this. If you weren't drawing a picture, if you weren't doing anything, what could you have done? Let me just give you a moment to think about it. So, I'm assuming some of you would have thought about it this way. Oh, it's just dividing 84 into 4 equal sized pieces. And that's all we're doing, because all 4 pieces have to be the same length. And so you could have done this problem without drawing the picture, without making the equation, but why am I pushing you in this direction? Because we're going to get harder problems. That the picture and the equations will be like really, really helpful as we get the harder problems. All right. So, number 3. One side of a triangle is half the longest side. Let me make this a little bit bigger. The third side is 10 feet less than the longest side. The perimeter is 45 feet. Find all 3 sides. All right. Now, when I first read this, I get a bit overwhelmed. Too much information, and I don't even know how to get started. So, I have the beginning part is if we were going to create one variable x, should it represent the shortest side, the longest side of a triangle, or the side that's not, that's kind of in between the other two, that is not the shortest or the longest? So for this particular problem, the letter x should represent which one, and type up your answer into your group chat, but don't hit enter yet. Go ahead and hit enter. Group 4. What kind of responses do you have? Do you have just one response or more than one?
Just one response. I'm not entirely sure, but I guess just the shortest side.
You're thinking it should be the shortest side. Anybody have any other ideas besides the shortest side? I'll leave that out to anybody.
X should be the side that is not the shortest or the longest.
You think it should be this one down here?
Yes.
All right. Well, this is very interesting. I love it when The correct answer is the only one that wasn't chosen. And so it's very important that we're looking at this. All right. What to answer should the letter X represent, we really ask this question. What are the other sides compared to? And to find the answer to that, you look after the word then. The third side is 10 feet less than the longest side. It's comparing the third side to the longest side. The side of a triangle is half the longest side. Ooh. Now this one, the word then, or half of, or something like this, is one time it's the word then, but is half of, kind of is even left out. But it's the other sides are being compared to the longest side. So we wouldn't use this, we wouldn't use this, we would choose our X to be this one. Now, is this confusing to anybody? Speak up or else we'll just keep moving on. Yeah.
For me, it's really confusing.
Okay, it's kind of confusing? All right. When we get to the picture, I'm going to come back to this wording again, and we'll spend more time seeing how these are being compared to the longest side. And the other hint is the longest side shows up twice. So that kind of is telling us that other things are probably being compared to this longest side. So that's also another reason why we should let the X be that. All right. Now, draw the triangle and label all three sides in terms of X. And then we're going to finish the problem. So, let me give you a minute to draw the triangle. And it's not going to be X, 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 but one of the sides is going to be X, and the other two sides will have X in it somehow. But they tell you information about how to make those in terms of X. So, I'm going to give you a minute. Make a guess on your own. Okay, so I'm going to draw some triangle. And I made them kind of all look kind of about equal in length. And you don't have to make them one long and one short. It doesn't really matter. You just, just pick one of them to say arbitrarily, this is going to be my longest side, and I'm going to call it X. And this is going to be, we had decided that's going to be the longest side. Now, we're going to get the other sides from these two sentences. So the first sentence is going to tell us about one of the sides. So let me go to group 5. Any idea how I could modify this picture now?
X minus 10.
Where should I put that?
On any of them?
Very good.
Any of the
Doesn't
two?
really matter. One of them is 10 feet less than the longest. Notice, because it's 10 feet less than the longest, it's x minus 10. If we'd have had this be if the x was something different than the longest, x minus 10 wouldn't have popped out for us. All right, what else?
Then I had x over 2,
For this
like
one?
divided by, yeah.
Divided by 2. How about subtracting 2? Wouldn't that be good enough? Or does it have to be divided by?
Oh yeah, well, wait, one side of the triangle is half the longest side. I don't know. I did divided by.
You're right. But it often get confused. A lot of people put like minus 2 or something like this. For instance, if x was like, 20 feet, then to get half of that, which would be 10 feet, you can't subtract 2. That would get you down to 18. You have to divide by 2, and that gets you down to 10. So it's got to be x, and then 1 is half the longest side. Now you said divide by 2. Some other people might have said, for this part, 1/2 of. Half is the same as 1/2. There's an implied of, which means multiplication. And then the longest side, which is x. So somebody else might have written it as 1/2 times x. But that is the same as x over 2. Alright, now we have 3 of the sides labeled. But this would have been impossible to label if we hadn't chosen the x as the longest side. The longest side was showing up twice, and it was what one side was compared to. It's half of the longest side. The third side is 10 feet less than the longest side. So we had to really concentrate on choosing x to be the right one and labeling it like that. And then the other parts of the picture start to make some sense. Now, the perimeter is 45 feet. So, group 5, what kind of equation do I make? Any ideas?
Do you just put it all together and then have it equal to 45?
So we have x minus 10, x, and x over 2, and you say we just say they all equal 45 like this?
And add addition sign?
Addition. Alright, we might even put like this in pretend parentheses, because it all came in at one time. And this. So this side plus this side plus this side gives you the perimeter, which is the distance around the outside edge of 45. Alright. That's not easy to get this set up, and we needed this ability to draw the picture, label them, get the equation from the picture. But now it's still kind of tough because of this fraction in there. Alright, so let me give you a minute to see what you can do. Add the 3 like terms on the left hand side. So these 3 are like terms. Add them together and get one term when you add those, and then keep going. Let me give you a minute for that, and then I'll do it. Okay, this always presents a problem. Students at this level class, I always get challenged by these fractions in here, especially fractions with letters. All right, there's a few ways to do this, and let me show you all of those ways. All right, you can get common denominators. This is really 1 over 1 in front of this one, and a 1 over 1 in front of this one. And then the least common denominator is 2, so you multiply this by 2 over 2, this by 2 over 2. This doesn't need to be multiplied by anything. And then you could add them together. Another way we could do it, we could just think of this as 1 plus 1 is 2, plus a half is 2.5. There's 2.5 x's. Another way to do it is turn this into a decimal. 1/2 x is the same as 0.5x. So 1x plus 1x plus 0.5x is 2.5x. Same as 2. You know, all these different ways to do it. Suppose we had done it by multiplying by 2 over 2. And then we would get 2 over 2x plus, and that's 2 times that one, 2 over 2x plus x over 2, and then moving that minus 10 over to the right. Now this is the same as, because x is really x over 1, and x goes with the top number. 2x plus 2x over 2 plus 1x over 2 minus 10 plus 45. And then add all those top numbers because they have a common denominator. It's 5x over 2 minus 10 plus 45. Or you could be doing this as 2.5x or 2.5x. Any of those would be fine. And then I'm going to add 10 to both sides. I'm going to write this a little different. I'm putting the x to the side of it. Now, to get x by itself, I have to get rid of this 5 halves. I can divide both sides by 5 halves, but the shortcut for that is to multiply by the reciprocal. And it's kind of nice that we have it set that fraction in front of the x at the same level as the fraction bar. The 2's cancel, the 5's cancel. You get x, 5, divide by 5, and we get 11, and x is 22. Then we got x is 22. What I want you to do now is answer the question. Go back to the picture with the 22 and write a worded answer. I'm going to give you a minute. For that. Alright, so if x is 22, we're going to come back and we're going to say, oh, this is 22. This is 22 over 2, which is 11. This is 22 minus 10, which is 12. So then, the 3 sides are, we'll give a worded answer to a word problem. The 3 sides are, and these were all in feet, 12 feet, 22 feet, and 11 feet. And they should add up to 45. And that kind of will check my answer. 20 and 10 and 10 make 40, and then there's 5 more. does. So that's my final answer. And that's the essence of how you do these problems. These number and perimeter problems. Any questions on this problem before I move on? Because there was a lot of steps to it. All right. Let me have you look at this one. One side of a triangle is 6 meters more than twice the shortest side. Third side is 9 meters more than the shortest side. The perimeter is 75 meters. Find all three sides. So answer A, and then do part B, and really finish the problem up. So see how you're doing at applying what we just learned. Okay, the letter X, everything is being compared to the shortest side. Twice the shortest side, more than the shortest side. So we want this. Draw the triangle, label everything, give you a little bit more time. Okay, I'm going to draw my triangle. I'm going to put my X, this time it's going to be the shortest. One side is 6 more than twice the shortest side. How do I do that? Oh, 6 more. Does that mean 6 times or 6 plus? 6 more than is 6 plus. Because like if I had one side being 20, to get 6 more than that, I'd go to 26. Let's add it. 6 more than twice the shortest. How do I get twice the shortest? Is it x plus 2 or x times 2? Well, to double something like 20, double it to 40 would be twice it. It's multiplying. The third side is 9 meters more than the shortest side. Compared to the shortest, so we get these. Once I have this, I can make my equation. These don't really need to be in parentheses, but kind of helps me see that they came in at one time. They represented one side leg. And it said the perimeter was 75 meters. So this one is easier to solve because there's no fractions in it. So 2x plus 1x plus 1x, it's 4 x's. It's 9 and 6 make 15. And then I'm going to move all the terms that don't contain x to the right. And I'm going to get x. 60 divided by 12, I think that's 15. So then I go back to my picture and I insert the 15. Now if I put a 15 right here, then this becomes 30, and then I get 36. And then I'd say my 4 sides are 36. I'll go from smallest to largest. The 3 sides are 15, 24, and 36 meters long. Now, they should add up to 75. Let's double check that. 24 and 36, that makes 60, 75. Yep, it does. It checks. All right, one last thing. I always put more than I can get to on these. Want to do a couple things just to make sure you know this terminology. The difference of a 10 and a number is negative 8. 10 and a number. A number is x. The difference means subtract. That's how you make an equation of this. And then you would solve it. Five times the difference of. Now the difference of means you're going to be subtracting 2 things. And you're multiplying 5 times that whole difference, or the result after the difference. So this has to go in parentheses. 5 times the difference of 2 things, twice a number, and 6 is negative 20. That's how this equation gets set up. And that's all we can do. So the homework is 2.5. Number of perimeter problems. And there is no spot check due on Wednesday. Oh, actually there is. No, there shouldn't be. I'm going to take that out. Because you have a test on Wednesday, I'm going to move back the spot check for 2.5 so that if all you want to do is be focusing on getting ready for the exam on Wednesday, you can do that. All right. Any questions?
Isn't the supplements also due on Wednesday?
Yes. You are turning in the problem solving with linear equation. Oh! Since that's not on this test, I'm going to put that back till, so I'll give you more time on both of those things.
Okay.
It won't be due until Monday of next week. So
Okay.
if you want to just focus on the getting ready for the exam, you can do that. All right?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'll see you on Wednesday online. We'll do the test from 1:15, and I expanded the amount of test time. I give an hour and a half in case there's some, if somebody has really slow internet for downloading and uploading. But we'll start at 1:15 on Wednesday. See y'all then.
All right. Have a good day.
All right, you too.